Hi everyone, how are we all doing? I know it has been an absolute age since I last done a video, and it's for good reason as well, because the geek nerd universe is in mourning since we lost the last of the greats, the last of the giants. Stan Lee passed away yesterday, um, but he lived a full life, 95 years old. I mean, it's incredible. And whilst we know that his health was failing in recent months, it doesn't make his loss any less painful. And obviously, his loss is just felt throughout the whole entire comic book community. I mean, whether you're an artist or a writer, an actor who's featured in any of the films that the characters that he has created, or in the universe within itself. If you've met him, whether you've worked with him, worked for him, you've met him at Comic Cons and all that sort of stuff, people around the world are pouring in their heartfelt tributes to this great man. And it's an incredible. I don't know how else to put it. It's just that here's someone who he is the last of the originals, as I would like to call it. We've had Jerry Siegel, Joe Shuster, Bill Finger, Bob Kane, Steve Ditko, King Jack Kirby. These guys were the reasons that we got into comics. These were guys who themselves were people who didn't fit in. They were outsiders as well. If you think about it, the majority of these guys are Jewish. Jerry and Joe Shuster even. I know that Jack Kirby as well, and Stan Lee was born of parents from Jewish parents from Romania as well. So it's incredible that we've got so much of these comic book characters that have been created for us by outsiders. They created characters to make us feel good about ourselves, make us feel special. Yet at the same time, whilst we were alone in our own little world, whatever we were going through, they created these characters to let us know that we're not alone, that life is not as bad as we think it is. We can get through it, basically. And it's just it's I don't know what else to say apart from the fact that, as I say, all the outpouring of tributes and obituaries that have been coming out from celebrities in particular. I mean, just about everybody from the Russo brothers to Chris Evans to Samuel L. Jackson to Hugh Jackman, Chris Hemsworth, Zoe Saldana. Everybody has given their tributes, and I think the biggest one for me has to be from Robert Downey Jr. His Instagram post just simply, his Twitter post just simply said, "I owe it all to you." And you know what? You can't get more fitting than that, where it just says, "I owe it all to you. Rest in peace, Stan." Because if you all remember, before Robert Downey Jr. got the gig as Tony Stark, his life was, a mess. He, I think he was in prison for alcohol abuse or something like that. So his life was pretty much turned upside down. And I believe it was just after he was cast as Tony Stark. I think it was at Comic Con, maybe 2007. Could have been a bit sooner than that, maybe 2006. I don't know. But Stan Lee basically said Robert Downey Jr. is the man to play Tony Stark. And there's a picture that was posted. Someone posted a picture of Stan and Robert both having a cuddle. Stan giving Robert a hug at Comic Con, and it's just that one picture there just signifies what it meant to Robert to be cast in this universe, in this one of the biggest movie franchises of all time now, essentially. And yeah, that was heartfelt. You could feel that. You could really feel that, emotion from Robert to Stan. And now that he's gone, everybody, as I say, has been pouring in their tributes and giving their thanks, through whatever means of how they know Stan, whether they've met him on a personal level, they've worked with him, they've gone to see him at Comic Con. I've seen people post their pictures of meeting him at Comic-Con and such, whether they're in cosplay or whatever, you know, taking photos with him, you know, how they've said that he was a kind and gentle soul, that he was, you know, just a gentleman. Yeah, it's just an astonishing tribute to him. And a friend of mine at work this morning, we were talking about it this morning. You know, he just came up to me with a sad face, and I just went, "I know, don't say it. It's yeah, it's horrible." But then he said that he read somewhere that someone had posted that for the very end of the fourth Avengers movie that comes out next year, what they should do is pan out from Earth into the galaxy, and then just have like a pencil writing Stan Lee, or maybe you know, two pencils. You could have one writing Stan Lee, another one writing Jack Kirby, as if they were signing off. You know, just to finish off add that finishing touch to the universe. And I think that would be the perfect way to sort of tick off this first 10 years of Marvel and you know, of their films. You know, the end of the end of the fourth Avengers film, something along those lines. If you remember the first Men in Black film, where they zoom out of Earth, zoom out of the solar system, and then the galaxy, and then eventually the universe, and you got these two creatures playing marbles with the galaxies. Essentially, you could have something like that with Stan and maybe Steve Ditko and also King Jack Kirby as well. All three of them, just sort of like, you got Stan doing the writing, and then both Steve and Jack doing the illustrations and stuff. You know, something along those lines. That would be a fitting tribute. I think that would be an amazing tribute if that was to happen. So, Kevin Feige, Russo brothers, if you're watching this, there's an idea for you. Didn't come from me. It came from somebody else. I don't know who, but whoever did mention that, credit to you, my dear boy, because yeah, that would be excellent. So yeah, I just wanted just to say that, I mean, for me personally, Spider-Man and X-Men were the first comics that I actually read. I think I must have been about 12 years old at the time. There was a kid at school, he used to bring comics in because his dad worked at a shop and he was selling comics as well. So he used to bring in some comics. And I remember one day reading one of his comics, and it was a Spider-Man comic, and it actually featured Carnage. And that was the first time I even met Carnage as well. And I thought, this guy is absolutely nuts. He's crazy, he's ultra violent. And when I watched the Venom film, spoiler alert for those of you who haven't watched, so do please don't watch it right now, what I'm about to say. But for the Venom film, my one wish was to have Cassius Clay appear in some form, and he did at the very end of the film in the first end scene credit. And surprisingly, Woody Harrelson's playing Cassius Clay, and I thought, wow, okay, that could work. We'll see how that pans out if and when they do a sequel as well that will feature Carnage, because I am looking forward to that. So yeah, for me personally, as I say, X-Men and Spider-Man were the first comic books that I read. So we owe it all to Stan, not just Stan, but Jack and Steve as well, and everybody else that has been involved in Marvel Comics, and not just Marvel Comics, but DC Comics as well. Comics as a whole. You know, if it wasn't for DC and if it wasn't for Marvel, we wouldn't have what we have today. You know, they created these amazing characters that we have all resonated and related to, and also been inspired by for whatever reason. You know, these characters are the reason why we enjoy reading comics. You know, and everybody should enjoy comics. You know, it doesn't matter who you are, what background you're from, what religion you are, what faith. Doesn't matter who you are. If you love comics, there is a story out there for you. And you know, pick up a comic book anytime, read the stories. If you feel that connection, just remember, when you read the story and then you find out who wrote it, who did the artwork, and all that sort of stuff, then you start to really understand and grasp what the story they were trying to tell. You know, what emotions does it give you? You know, all that sort of stuff. And I think that's the great thing about comics, is that it does give emotions. You know, it takes us to a world we want to escape to. Yes, they do talk about real life stuff as well, but at the same time, it transports us to a world that, you know, we just shut ourselves off from everything else, and we just go into this fantasy land, and it's like, why can't it just be like this? Why can't real life be like this? You know, but it is what it is, but that's why comics exist. So I'm happy for one. Sad at the same time that Stan has left us, but yes, I never met him, never met the guy, but heard so much good things about him from so many people, and you know, what can I say? Stan is the man. He will be missed. So I'm going to end it there. If you want to drop some comments, sorry, below with your thoughts as well, and if you've met them, if you've met Stan as well, what did you think of him? You know, give me your stories and such, and be interested to read them. But yeah, so thank you all very much for watching. As I say, I know it's been a long time since I've done a video, but I had to, you know, I couldn't ignore it for so long. So I thought I might as well give a nice tribute to Stan, the man, because we know that his wife also passed away last year, and you know, he was obviously in bits, and that's why, as I say, his health started to deteriorate. I think he got a pacemaker put in not too long ago, several years ago. But like I say, 95 years old. What a life! What a life indeed. So, yeah, it's been an honor reading your comics and watching your characters come to life, Stan. So, give my best to Jerry, Joe, Steve, Jack, Bob, and Bill, and everybody else within the comic book community that is up there with you. I hope you guys are making excellent, excellent stories together up there, and you know, kicking back with a nice glass of whiskey and a big fat cigar amongst all of you. So I can just see it now. They're all just sat around the table of the elders, as it were, you know, just sitting there and just discussing old times and such. So yeah, I'm going to stop there anyway, because I'm starting to get a bit getting a bit misty in here. So, but thank you all very much for watching. It's been an honor. See you all very soon.